What's up, you guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Fit Women's Weekly Podcast. What's going on? How's life going? If this is your first time tuning into the podcast, welcome. I hope that you enjoy what you hear and you are inspired to go back and listen to some of the previous 500 episodes that we've done. And if you're an OG listener, thank you so much. You know how much I love you guys. We are a community here at Fit Women's Weekly, and I want to always make sure that I'm providing you the content that you want to hear, that resonates with you. So if you have any questions, comments, topics that you want answered here, guys, all you have to do, slide into my DMs, or if you're watching this on YouTube, comment down in the comments below and let me know what those things are. If you want to slide into my DMs, that is the fastest way to reach me, and you can do that over at Kendall Boyle Fitness over on Instagram. That's definitely my preferred platform, I should say. Here on YouTube, because I release this on all podcast platforms and on YouTube, y'all, I'm gonna be honest, YouTube people are kind of mean. But I think that's also because for whatever reason, YouTube just can't quite get it right with the algorithm. And I always laugh because my content goes to like 90% men, even though clearly my YouTube handle is called Fit Women's Weekly. And men just really love giving me their opinions on the way that I look, the way that I move, the content that I put out. So if you are a woman and you are watching this on YouTube, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up and comment down below, because I'm hoping that the more interactions I can get with the demographic that I actually want to hang out with, then they're going to push that more towards that demographic. So yeah, let's get those ladies' numbers up in this group. But anyways, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. Today is going to be a pretty fun episode because I want to talk about a new meta-analysis study that was just revealed, or shouldn't say revealed, that was just published, talking about something that over 75% of people do wrong when it comes to their strength training workouts. I thought that would be really fun to dive a little bit more into and really bring up the in-depth topic so that you know what you could be doing wrong and how to fix it. And then I also do want to highlight a little bit on Mental Health Month, which is May. I talked about this a little bit last week, and I said, you guys, if you want me to talk a little bit more about it, just let me know, and I'm happy to do that, where I more share my own personal experience and those are the people that surround me in order to kind of get the word out on anxiety and depression. Obviously, there are a lot of different mental health issues that somebody can suffer from, and I can't speak on behalf of everybody, but I can speak on behalf of the issues that I myself have faced. And because this is Mental Health Awareness Month, it just kind of makes sense for me to talk about it right now. I bring it up a lot, but I don't really go too much in depth because I also don't want to come off as like that defines me. It's a part of who I am, and it definitely plays a role into the decisions that I make and the way that I react to things, but it is not who I am. So I just try to really separate myself from talking too much about anxiety and depression. However, we are going to talk about it a little bit today, but before we jump in there, you guys, I am hurting. I think I mentioned this last week that on Sundays, my husband and I have started doing sprints together, simply because Dan doesn't work out as much as he would love to now that he is at a 9-to-5 job, which most people can relate to, absolutely. But we're really used to being active together. So a few weeks ago, he was like, it's springtime, it feels so good outside, I'd really like to take my workouts outside. He knows that that is like the way to my heart. I love being outside with him. I love being outside with my girlfriends. That's just one of my favorite ways to connect to people and spend time with people. So we started on a few Sundays ago going out to one of the big soccer fields and practicing 40-meter sprints, a fun way for us to move our bodies. And we're so fortunate that I'm 39, my husband's 41, they were able to go out there and do full out sprints. Like, what a gift, because sprints are very hard, very intense. And so just to be able to do that, it's pretty freaking cool. But because we're now doing that on Sundays, that just means I have one more less rest day. And I'm feeling it this week. And some of my friends are like, well, why are you putting yourself through that? And at the heart of it, one, we're only doing it for 20 to 30 minutes. Yes, it's intense, but we're sprinting, we're resting, we're laughing, we're hanging out, we're sprinting, we're resting, we're laughing, we're hanging out. And I think that last word is the most important, is we are hanging out. When you work with your spouse, or if you have kids, or whatever the relationship is, life gets so focused on those things that sometimes you forget to date your significant other. And so for me, that's our way to get out and date, right? Where we're not going to get drinks, we're not focusing on like food. That's not really our way of connecting. And so to be able to do that, it's not something that I'm willing to give up. It's something that we have fun with. And so if that means I got to try to find other ways to rest throughout the week, that's what it's going to have to take. But man, I am absolutely feeling it on top of yesterday's workout. But it's really cool to be able to sprint. And if you haven't tried, if your body works, as in like it feels good, you're able to move fast, you're able to run fast. When's the last time that you did a really good warm up and then went out and just tried to sprint? I challenge anyone to go do that. It's a great way to change up your workouts. It's a great way for your mind and your muscles to have to talk to one another, working on your central nervous system and your muscle-mind connection. And it's a really great way to just change up what you're doing and still firing off those muscle fibers to get a great overall workout. You are gonna get that cardio workout. You're gonna work your core. I'm always sore in my abs after a really good sprint workout. You're gonna work your legs, especially your hamstrings. So go out there, give it a try. In fact, I also do something called Train Like an Athlete with my girlfriends, another way that I connect and hang out with them. And last time we were doing our workout, we were out doing sprints on a football field, and we ran into some young people that were getting ready to start a practice of some sort. And I just said, oh, what are you guys practicing for? And they said, oh, we are a local flag football team. And we're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And they go, oh, and what is it that you train for? And I said, longevity. We're out here just having fun. And so, yeah, at first, Dan and I were talking like, well, what are good sprint times? And then he made the statement of the fact that we're able to come out here and sprint, who cares how fast or how slow we are? We're doing things that most people don't do anymore after they're in their 20s or 30s, right? So if you're able to, go out there and just have fun with it. I am gonna share, I know that you guys talking about workouts, we're gonna change things over just a little bit. A lot of you guys said that you used to love it when I started or ended a workout or a podcast with a workout. So I am gonna bring that back. I've been doing that off and on the past couple of episodes, but I don't always remember. But I am gonna share the workout that I did yesterday, and holy moly, my booty is killing me. And so what it was it is a 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of double dumbbell squats and double dumbbell chest press. Obviously you can do that with kettlebells, you can even do it with barbells, but you do wanna go with a heavy weight where you can do your 10 reps, but you can't do 12 reps. And you wanna try to maintain that weight over the entire workout. And that's a lot of volume. It's gonna get really challenging. And here's the kicker. So you're gonna do, not deadlift, squats, I'm sorry. You're gonna do 10 squats, and then you're gonna do 20 double unders or 40 regular jump rope. Then you're gonna do 10 chest press, and you're gonna do 20 double unders or 40 regular jump rope. And then you're gonna go straight to the 8 and 8. And you're gonna keep that up until you go all the way down the 2, which I call the bottom of the valley, and then you're gonna climb back up, not repeating the 2. You're just gonna go down to 2 and then bring it back up to 4, 6, 8, 10. So you're gonna go down in weight or down in volume and then back up in volume. It is a burner. My tushy hurt today. My pecs are definitely burnt out, but it was a good one. So if you guys love having a good challenge and you enjoy these little workout challenges that I give you, go do it and let me know what you think about it. So just to recap, it is 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of squats and chest press. Each exercise followed up with either 20 double unders, or if you cannot do double unders, 40 regular jump rope. And if you can't jump rope, then just do 40 high knees in place, but really focus on getting those elbows up high on when you're running and your knees up high. So move your arms fast, get those knees up, and really push it for those 40 reps. All right, so let's get into the meat of the podcast today. And that is, well, meat one of the podcast. And that is Mental Health Awareness Month. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I have suffered from anxiety since I was diagnosed when I was 16 years old. And I can remember sitting on the doctor's table at 16 and I was giving her my symptoms, and my mom was with me in the doctor's office, and she said, you have anxiety and I'm gonna put you on medication for it. And I can remember crying and my mom going, baby, what's wrong? We're a Southern family. My mom calls me baby and I'm the baby of the family. And I said, why can't I be normal? Why do I have to be crazy? Because that's how I felt at the time. And I know, of course, now that is not the case. And I also know that I'm not abnormal. So many of us deal with some form of mental illness, whether it is anxiety or depression or schizophrenia or bipolar. There's so many different things out there, and it is a struggle every single day. I always know it's in the back of my mind. I haven't been on medicine in 25 years, and there have absolutely been times when I probably should have been. And obviously some phases of life are harder than other phases of life. My anxiety can come and go, but I've always maintained a couple of healthy things in my life to help maintain it as much as possible. So I thought that I would share those things with you guys. But I also want to make it clear that one, I'm not a doctor. This is just my own personal experience. And two, never be afraid to seek out help. So if you are suffering from anything or just something doesn't feel right, go talk to your doctor, go talk to a counselor, just go talk to somebody. You do not have to feel those things forever. There are things out there. I am not against medicine just because I haven't been on medicine. I think that medication does have a purpose and it has helped a lot of people. But I am also somebody, like for me personally, I do try to do a more holistic approach, and I try to do the things that I'm getting ready to share with you before I do go to a doctor. And I will be 100% transparent that one of the reasons that I am being very open about this right now is because I am at one of the lowest lows ever in my life when it comes to my anxiety and depression. But I have talked to somebody. I am I'm doing a lot of steps currently to take control, and not so much to take control, I think that's the wrong word, but I'm doing a lot of things to help manage my anxiety and get out of this hole that I'm in and pull myself up before I do go on a prescription. But I have discussed that as well as being an option, but there are a couple things that I'm willing to try first. So yeah, so what are the things that I do? Number one, exercise. Exercise is a non-negotiable for me. You guys know this. Exercise gives me endorphins. It helps me feel like I'm in control of something in my life. Movement makes my body feel good, not just from a physical standpoint, but also from a mental standpoint, and also from a confidence standpoint. When you're dealing with anxiety and depression, your confidence can really tank. But when I am working out and I feel strong and I feel fit and I feel healthy, that makes me feel confident, and that lessens the degree of the mental battle that I'm going through, because I'll often say to myself, look at what I just accomplished. If I can accomplish this, then I can get over XYZ. Other things that I have recently learned with helping with my anxiety is to lean into it. And by that, I simply mean when I'm having a anxiety moment, which anxiety attacks on the lower end have been a little bit more frequent lately. Instead of freaking out over like, oh my God, this is how I'm feeling, I say, okay, here I go, take a big deep breath. And then I also try to remind myself, this too shall pass. And then I ask myself, why am I freaking out? What is happening right now that is worthy of having this much impact on my body? And by just acknowledging what's going on in my system, I'm often able to help calm myself down and move on. And the other thing also, let's rewind for a quick second. When it comes to exercise, because I exercise so much for my job, it is also my way of helping to beat anxiety at nighttime because I'm tired. I don't lay in my bed for 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours freaking out over things because I'm so physically tired that I'm able to fall asleep. So that helps. Journaling helps a lot. I read gratitude books every single day just to kind of help put things back into perspective. And then I have a really close group of friends that I feel comfortable talking to about this kind of stuff. Not many people, but I do have friends that I turn to and say, this is what I'm going on. I have one friend, bless her heart. I recently kind of let her in on some things, some dark things that had gone through my mind recently. And that woman has checked on me every single day. And everybody deserves to have that kind of friend who just says, you're special, you are loved. Today is going to be a good day. Let me know if you need anything. And then I think it's also important to have a significant other, if you have a significant other, who is empathetic. And that took us a really long time in my marriage because my husband does not understand anxiety. He is an anxious person and he obviously gets stressed out and does get anxious over things, but he doesn't understand how you can be anxious or depressed over nothing. when I go through an anxiety bout, he's like, well, why? What's going on? What are you freaking out about? And when I try to explain, I don't know, I just am, he just doesn't understand that. But recently, we've had a lot of heart-to-hearts, and we were laying in bed not too long ago, and we really broke it down. He's like, I want you to tell me everything that made you anxious today. And I went over everything. I mean, I listed off one thing after another, and it kind of, I think, helped click a little bit for him to help understand what I'm going through and be a little bit more empathetic and sympathetic versus just trying to be like, stop. You know, if you don't want to be anxious, don't be anxious. And that had hurt us a lot in the past, over the past 20 years, because it made me not want to come to him or feel safe coming to him because he didn't feel like he could understand or help me. And so now that we're growing up and he is really trying to understand a little bit more, he's doing a lot of research, and that has helped. And he really said something the other night to me that helped put things into perspective. After I'd gone through all of this list of things that had caused me anxiety during the day, he made the comment of, it sounds to me as if you let everybody else in your world control how you feel. And I kind of just broke down crying at that moment, because I'm like, oh my God, that is exactly how I feel. If I were to define how I feel as a person, that is it. I let everybody else control the emotions that I have, and sometimes I just can't seem to help it. But by him saying it, it was just like a light went off, and it was almost instantly that I was like, you're right, why do I do that? Let's move on. And so that really, really helped. But having a spouse who's willing to try to understand and try to educate themselves on mental illness and mental health has really, really been something that has brought us a little bit closer together, actually, in just the past few weeks even. And we're coming off of almost a 20-year relationship. So if we can continue to grow closer, that's pretty freaking important to me. And we've discussed some other things that I'm going to be doing to help with my anxiety that I'm not quite willing to talk about right here. I'm kind of going to be writing some notes and say how things are affecting me. But for the changes that I'm going to be making, it did take us coming together to make those decisions together. And so for him to be willing to say, yes, let's try this, really speaks a lot and makes me feel like I have a team partner in all of this. So make sure that you have somebody that you can connect with and really put your feelings out there. It makes a huge freaking difference. And then sleep obviously is important, and nutrition is really important. Staying hydrated, eating the foods that make you feel good. For a lot of people, caffeine can make you jittery, right? Well, when you're already on edge, is that really a great option? Same with sugar. Sugar gives you that sugar high, and then you come down, and then you feel like crap all over again. So then you're probably feeling guilty because you ate the sugar in the first place, and then you're feeling like crap because you got your sugar high, and now you're crashing. And so it's like this double whammy on top of already feeling like crap. So when you are in a period of high anxiety, I really think it's important to focus on what are you putting into your body. Make sure you're putting in the foods that make you feel best physically and mentally. It plays a huge role. I mean, you guys remember a few weeks ago or months ago, I talked about how I was having night terrors and these terrible, terrible, terrible nightmares that would wake me up jumping out of bed and screaming. And once I started digging into research, it came back as nutrition. Like, nutrition plays such an important role on not just our metabolic health, not just our heart health, not cholesterol, not just blood pressure, on every aspect of us as a human being. And so I think it's really important and really cool that all that stuff can kind of be tied together. So think about things of like, okay, I'm not feeling my best right now. What in my lifestyle has changed that maybe I can tweak to make myself feel better? So those are the things that I'm focused on right now personally. If you do not suffer from any sort of mental health issue, then I think the most important thing for you to understand is that there are people in your life that do, and that reach out to them, be a friend, be empathetic, and don't just push it off as because you don't understand that it's not a real thing, right? So just today, I recommend reaching out to somebody that you think or that you know might struggle from time to time and just say, hey, I was just thinking about you today. I wanted to let you know that I love you and I hope that you have a good day. Those little messages are so incredibly important. I cannot say it enough. I can't say it enough. So, and then obviously the last thing that I want to stress is never be afraid to reach out. Reach out to a doctor, reach out to a professional, reach out to a friend. just reach out. Don't hold this all within. That only makes it worse. All right, I know that was deep, but a lot of you guys had said, yes, I'd love to hear more about you and your journey. My journey is not over. This is a part of who I am. It's something that is always going to be in the back of my mind, but it doesn't mean that I can't control it, and it doesn't define me as a person. It does define some of my characteristics though, right? Because I am early to everything. I am very punctual, and I am someone who likes to get everything done on my list. And I definitely contribute that to my anxiety of being like, I've got to do it all. But I'm trying to also learn how to balance all of that as well. All right, so let's change things up. Let's talk about fitness. All right. What do you think is the biggest issue that people get wrong when it comes to strength training? So there's recently a meta-analysis by Steele and colleagues that investigated the effort put into resistance training. Over 300 people were studied over the course of a couple of different studies. So everything was coming together from several studies were analyzed. And what they found is that at the end of the day, most people, when it comes to their strength training, and by most people, I'm talking over 70% of people, were not lifting heavy enough for their goals. Most people in these studies wanted to gain muscle, okay, wanted to be in a state of hypertrophy, and they were asked, if you were to do 10 reps, go pick out your weight and show me what you would do. And then in most of these studies, after they did that weight, they said, okay, now rest a little bit, now grab that same weight, and let's see how many reps you can actually knock out using that. And what they found was whether the individual was trained or untrained, they were lifting too little for what their rep range was or their set goal was. So if they were trying to do 10 reps, when they did their max reps with that weight, they on average found that there were at least 5 reps left in the tank. But for most people, there were even 9 reps or more left in the tank. And so what that says is that you can work out as much as you want, but if you're not putting effort into your strength training and you're not putting your muscles in a state of distress and in a state of actual, like, quote unquote injury, not where you're hurting yourself, but where your muscles are forced to say, oh my God, I gotta repair myself after what you just put me through, you're not going to get results. So whether you are, this is really cool because in the study it showed it didn't matter sex, it didn't matter age, and it didn't matter training levels. People, more often than not, were not lifting heavy enough. And so what that also says is that when somebody who is trained, AKA somebody that's working out regularly and say like, yes, I do strength training, when they would do an 8 to 12 week strength training program, like the Summer Shred getting ready to come up, they were able to see the same sort of results as someone who started the program that was untrained. Now, why this is so important is because most of the time an untrained individual is going to see results a lot faster than a trained individual because their muscles are going to be a lot easier to go, oh my God, what are you doing to me? And then they're going to adapt to be able to handle the new program that they're under. And so if a trained individual has been working out for years, it should be harder to make those new gains because you can only increase so much, right? So the longer that you've been training, the smaller your improvements are going to be over time. Does that make sense? Because you can't just go like an untrained person can try to deadlift 100 pounds and then over 8 weeks, they're gonna make some pretty big gains. They can probably get up to 120 to maybe even 150 pounds by the end. Whereas if you're trained and you've been deadlifting for years, maybe you can do 150 now, but over the course of 8 weeks, maybe you'll be lucky if you can get to 155 or 160. That's what I mean by untrained versus trained and how progressions should be. But if you are progressing at the same amount as an untrained person, then you really have to question and go, maybe I'm not really pushing myself as hard as I think that I am, right? And that is exactly what these studies have shown. So my challenge to you is the next time you go work out, first off, remember, you're not married to the weights that you choose. So if you're doing 5 sets of 8 reps, and after your first set, you go, I probably had more fuel in the tank, then change out the weights. You don't have to use that same weight for every single set that you do. And I talked about this in like the podcast 1 or 2 episodes back, because I think that this is a really important thing to keep in mind. You want to keep about 2 to 3 reps in the tank. You don't have to go to failure every time, but you do want to get pretty freaking close to failure. So if you choose a weight and at the end of it, you're like, wow, I think I could probably do, let's say you're supposed to do 10 reps and you do 15 reps. You could do 15 reps, then you are going too light and you're not going to get the hypertrophy. You're not going to get the strength gains that you expect to get. You're just going through the motions of a workout versus on focusing on trying to improve that workout and improve the muscle that you have for that particular skill, if that makes sense. And it doesn't matter if you are trying to do 5 reps, 10 reps, or if you have a workout that has you doing 15 to 20 reps. The study showed over and over again, people were continuously choosing weights that were too light for them. Yes, they might choose a weight that's a little bit heavier if they only do 5 reps, but they were still finding a weight that was about 50% of their 1 rep max. And if you're always lifting at that same weight, you guys, you're not gonna push yourself. Remember the magic words. There's 2 words that I say over and over again, and if you wanna see results, progressive overload. You have to continuously try to push yourself harder, whether that is through the reps, whether that is through the weight that you use, through the number of sets that you use. You want to make sure that things are getting harder and harder over time. And so if you're always choosing that 50% 1 rep max weight, you're not gonna get there. So how can you actually tell if you're using the right kind of weight? Well, one way, while you don't have to go to failure, I do think that going from to failure every once in a while can actually be a really good test. If, let's say, you're doing chest press with double 35s, why don't you try to knock out as many as you can with good form? And the second that your form starts to fail, you can pretty much go ahead and say, okay, that is to failure. You don't want to put yourself up for injury. But with that weight, it's going to give you a clearer idea. So if you've been using the 35s for most of your chest press work, but you just did a test and you were able to do 14 reps, then you're like, okay, that's my sign. I either need to be doing 12 to 14 reps per set, or I need to start going up to the 40 pounders if I'm doing a set of, let's say, 8 to 12. And then obviously you could always test it. And if you were able to do that really easily, then it's your sign. You should maybe even go up a little bit more. So the study doesn't lie, you guys. Not everybody obviously falls under this category, but over 70% of people do. So I do know there's a couple of you guys listening that could really use this information, and I want you to take it, and the next time you're doing your strength training workout, I want my voice to pop up in your head going, are you lifting enough for what you're trying to be doing? I ask my clients during Fit Women's Weekly Live, every single workout, I'll say, how did that feel? Now is the time between sets. This is still me talking during a live workout. Now is the time. If you feel like you can go heavier, go heavier. If you can't go heavier because of the weights that you have available to you, then I want you to do 2 to 4 more reps. I want you to feel that struggle that I'm going through. I want you to figure out what the stimulus is and what you're supposed to be getting from it. And if that means you need to change things up a little bit, you got to change things up a little bit. I think that this issue has gotten even worse over the past couple of years because more people are working out at home, which I love. I mean, Fit Women's Weekly Live is designed for people for working out at home. But you're also gonna have limited equipment. So maybe you're gonna do a workout that says you're supposed to do 5 sets of 10, but the weights that you have aren't heavy enough to make 10 reps really worth it, right? In terms of getting your goals. So if that's where it is, don't be afraid to change the program that you have in front of you to match what you have for your gym equipment. So maybe instead of you doing 5 sets of 10, you're gonna do 5 sets of 15. So that those last 13, 14, 15 reps, you're gonna have to grit your teeth. If you're not gritting and you're not having to squeeze those handles, then it's time for a change up. Yes? All right, guys, speaking of Fit Women's Weekly Live, there is one last thing that I wanna mention. We do have the Summer Shred coming up July 10th. I cannot freaking wait. I know you're like, oh my gosh, Kendall, that's still a while away. Yes, it is. However, starting on May 27th, I am gonna be going live every Saturday in the Fit Women's Weekly Facebook group with a 30-minute live workout. Each week is gonna be a different theme. It's gonna be a brand new workout. And not only am I gonna be doing the 30-minute live workout, after that, I'm also gonna be leading a 30-minute coaching call right after the workout where I'm gonna talk about maintaining your health and your fitness over the summertime. I'm gonna talk nutrition, we're gonna talk workouts, we're gonna talk strength training, I'm gonna do a Q&A at the end of every single session, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. That information and registration will be open next week, so I will make sure to share that with you guys so that you can get on the list and you will not miss it. If you can't make it live, it will stay available. And so the people that are on the list, I will be sending out the link so that they can come back and watch it when they're able to. But I'd love for you to hang out with me. I want you to get to know not just my workout philosophies like I do here on the podcast in my life, but I also want you to get to know what it's like to work out with me, because at Fit Women's Weekly Live, I go live every single day with 2 workouts like the one I talked about at the beginning of the podcast. And I want you to experience it and see if that's something that you want to do for your own training. And you can jump into the 8-week Summer Shred Challenge with me. We're only gonna have the doors open for 120 people. Once they are all filled, they are filled. And yeah, it's gonna be big. It's gonna be training plan, it's gonna be recipes, it's gonna be a nutrition plan, it's gonna be coaching calls, grocery store shopping, accountability partners, everything that you need in one 8-week plan. It is the best time of the year and I cannot wait, but I don't want you to miss out. So make sure you have your eyes open for information about the live series that's gonna kick off on the 27th. And then also make sure to follow me over on social media. Let me know what you would love to hear and if you have any questions. And then if you want to support the channel, I am also putting a link down to our Buy Me a Coffee that'll help us get the word out more about the podcast and about the challenge coming up. And then obviously always make sure to subscribe and leave a review. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Bye.